Hi, I'm Clint Hurl with Kubota Tractor. I'm one of the ag product specialists in the Midwest Division, and I'm here today with German-Bliss, one of our dealers in Illinois, to go over some of the daily inspections and operational tips of the M7 series tractor. Today we've got an M7 132 Deluxe behind us. We're going to start out by walking around the tractor, going through some of the simple daily maintenance steps, and then after that we'll get up in the cab and go through some of the operational controls. Starting out, I guess right here where I'm standing, daily we've got you got your fuel tank right here on the left side with the green label. That's for your diesel fuel. And 87-gallon tank, and on the right side is the DEF tank. Again, that has the blue label. So make sure when you fuel them, you're putting the appropriate fluid in the right tank. For the daily engine oil check, it's over here on the left side of the engine is the dipstick. If the tractor has a loader, the dipstick is right behind the loader frame. It's easily accessible from the front side if you come back here to get the dipstick. To check your oil, your dipstick is here on the left side of the engine, and the oil fill port is also right next to it. So we definitely want to check the engine oil daily before operation. Next, daily you also want to check the radiator screen, make sure there isn't any debris plugging the screen, and we can also check the radiator and the coolers. Okay, now to open the hood to access the radiator and the air cleaner for maintenance, if the tractor's equipped with a grill guard, we first want to pull the grill guard forward so the hood can open. There's a spring-loaded pin on this left side. You pull in on that and then out on the grill guard to allow the hood to raise. And then to raise the hood, if the tractor has a loader on it, you can access it from the front. But there is a lever on the left-hand front side of the hood that you pull out on that knob, and it will unlatch the hood, and then the hood has a cable you can hold on to allow it to raise. Once you have the hood up, you can access the air cleaner as well as your radiator and coolers for your daily maintenance checks. The coolers also have the ability to tilt out away from the radiator to get in and inspect and blow them out if there's debris. To access that, there's a clip on each side. You just remove this lower left clip, and same thing on the right side, another clip. I'll undo this clip, and then these coolers will pull forward about 4 or 5 inches to give you access to the radiator, your intercooler, and your transmission coolers to keep them clean. Then once you've got them cleaned out, you can put them back and make sure to clip both sides again. Okay, another daily maintenance check you want to check on the tractor is the hydraulic and transmission fluid. There's an easy to access sight glass here on the rear left side of the tractor that's going to show you your oil level between the normal operating modes. To check that oil, you want to make sure that the loader and the 3 points are in the down position and the tractor is on a level surface, and check to make sure that the oil level is adequate. Here's the transmission and hydraulic oil fill plug. If you need to add oil, please refer to the operator's manual for the oil specifications for this tractor. Point arms are adjustable with these telescoping linkage on the outside. Right now it's in the floating position to allow the 3-point arm to move to easily hook up to implements. If you have an implement such as this mower hooked up to the drawbar, if you need to lock it out of the way, you can simply remove this spring-loaded clip and this pin, and there's an additional hole on the back side that you can lock this in place. And now the 3-point arm is locked in a stabilized position. And again, it is adjustable with this turnbuckle as well. Another thing to point out on the rear of the M7 Deluxe tractors are the hydraulic remotes. They come standard from the factory with 3 remote valves. We have remote valve number 1 on the left side, remote valve 2, and then remote valve 3. They are color coordinated with the handles in the cab, and they do correspond from a left to right handle position in the cab also. One thing to note with these 3 remotes is remote valve number 1 and remote valve number 3 have the ability to adjust the flow control for each of those remotes. And that flow control adjustment can be accessed through the rear of the window or the back of the cab, but it's these knobs right on top of the remotes where you can adjust your hydraulic flow rate to either increase or decrease the flow rate for that implement and for what you're controlling for remote number 1 and remote number 3. One important thing to note is adjust that hydraulic flow rate to get the appropriate function out of your implement. You don't have to have that hydraulic flow rate all the way up. You can dial it back to control the implement the way it needs to be controlled. Another important thing to check, especially on a new M7 tractor, is the torque of the rear and the front wheels and the rear wheel hub. Please refer to the operator's manual for the exact torque specifications for each of those bolts and also the interval schedule. Now we're going to go over some of the controls on the steering column of the M7 tractor. Starting out, the steering wheel and the steering column both telescopes and tilts, and that is accessed by the small pedal between the clutch and the brake pedals. Press down on that, it allows you to tilt and both telescope the steering column to your desired position. Next on the steering column, talk about the shuttle shifter. It is the orange shift lever on the left of the steering wheel. This allows you to shift between forward and reverse. To shift the transmission to neutral, you can simply push down on that shuttle shifter and the IntelliPanel display will display the neutral symbol as well to verify that you are in neutral. There is also secondary shuttle shift and neutral controls over here on the multifunction handle and right below the multifunction handle. You see right here the forward, the F arrow stands for forward, the right arrow stands for reverse. So this is a secondary forward reverse shuttle. But for this forward reverse shuttle buttons to function, there is a safety button on the back of the multifunction handle that has to be held in for safety before you toggle to the forward position or the reverse position. And that is specific to this button on the multifunction handle. There's also a secondary neutral position switch right below the multifunction handle as a secondary way to enter neutral by pressing that. Another thing I'd like to point out before we go through the controls on the control panel on the right are a couple of additional buttons up on the steering column of the tractor. Over here on the left side, you do have your windshield wipers controls, your blinker controls, your windshield washer controls, and your high and low beam headlights. But also on the left-hand side of the steering column, below, is an on-off switch for your driving lights. There are additional work lights that can be turned on and off independently on the IntelliPanel display here to the right of the steering column. You can individually turn on your front working lights, your additional loader lights, the top cab lights, your rear cab lights, an additional set of rear work lights. So you can customize the lighting package to your needs depending on what you're doing. To turn them back off, you simply click those buttons again to correlate with the LED going out and the lights are off. A couple additional buttons on the steering console of the tractor are the switch here for your hazard lights. You press that to turn on your hazard lights, and you press it again to turn them off. Going over the pedals on the tractor, the left pedal is the clutch pedal. The small pedal in the middle is the pedal that allows the steering column to tilt and telescope. And on the right-hand side, you have the brake pedals. You have the left brake and the right brake. These pedals can be locked together with this yellow pin and this yellow pin right down here to lock the pedals together. Also on the right-hand side is the orange pedal. That is a foot throttle to allow you to control the throttle with your foot for various applications. The IntelliPanel display on the steering column has the digital display that can be customized to show the information that fits your needs. Please refer to the operator's manual for the specific information that can be shown and how to adjust those parameters through the 4 buttons to the right of the steering wheel. Okay, I'm going to go over some additional controls on the multifunction handle, starting with the 3-point control. On the multifunction handle, you have the 3-point up. You also have the 3-point down. Those are controlled by the 3-point lower limit, which is this rotary knob down on the console. This controls the depth of your 3-point arms, so you can adjust how low that 3-point arm will go with this knob. And then you can also adjust the upper limit of the 3-point with the upper raise limit over here on this upper left rotary knob here will adjust your upper limit of the 3-point arms. So if you don't want the 3-point arms to raise all the way, you can dial that back. If you do want it to raise all the way, make sure it's all the way on the high side or clockwise position. Also on these buttons is your drop rate for your 3-point arms. You can control how quickly your 3-point will lower, and also your automatic draft control with this lower left switch. Also over here in this exact same area, this very bottom switch or rotary knob is the RPM rev limiter. For certain applications, if you'd like to limit the RPM on the tractor, this knob can be adjusted. All the way to the right will allow that engine to operate up to the maximum RPM. If you turn that knob to the left, it will lower that maximum RPM level. A few other features we can go over on the console of the tractor are the hydraulic levers. Those are the blue levers. Again, the tractor comes standard with 3 remotes. An optional 4th remote can be installed on these deluxe tractors. The left lever, which is color-coded in blue, corresponds to the left remote when facing from the back of the tractor. Remote number 2 is in the middle. Remote number 3 is on the right. These remotes all have float, and you pull backwards for the extend, neutral, you push forward to the retract, and then you push all the way forward, puts it in the float position. Then to go back to the neutral, you can pull it back to the neutral position. Again, as mentioned earlier, remotes number 1 and remotes number 3 have the ability to control the hydraulic flow with knobs right on the back of each of those remotes out of the back of the cab. Going across the console here are our PTO levers. They're in the yellow handles. The left yellow handle allows us to set the PTO for normal PTO mode, which is forward. To adjust that, you push down on the yellow handle and you can shift the PTO to neutral, which is in the middle position, or you can shift the PTO to economy mode, which is the left lever and in the down position, which is shown as PTO/E for economy mode. The right lever allows us to shift between 540 PTO RPM and 1000 PTO RPM. The starting sequence, once you're in the cab of the M7 tractor, is fairly simple, and first thing you want to make sure is safety. The seat belt is right here for the operator. Please engage the seat belt. And the seat is adjustable both forward and aft on the bottom of the seat. The seat also is an air ride seat, and the air ride control is here on the left-hand side of the armrest to raise and lower and get your air ride seat set properly. Once you're comfortable in the cab, we'll check the controls and make sure everything is ready to start up for the startup procedure. First, we want to make sure that the park brake is on the tractor. It's here on the left-hand side of the seat. You pull up on the park brake to make sure it is fully engaged. Next, we want to make sure that all of our controls are in the correct position. Make sure the throttle is pulled back. We want to make sure the PTO switch, this yellow switch, is disengaged, that it is pulled back. And then we also want to make sure our remote levers are in the neutral position. Once that all is in the correct position, then we can go ahead with the starting sequence. The M7 tractors also have a battery disconnect switch that is located on the right-hand side of the steering column. If you look here to the right of the steering column, you'll see a rocker switch that does have a label next to it. That is the on-off switch for the tractor. It has a remote disengage switch. If you push up or forward on that switch, it disconnects the battery. You push down on that switch, the LED will light up green, notifying you that the battery is now connected and we have power to the tractor. One thing to note on this battery disconnect switch, it is on a 15-minute timer. So when you want to disconnect the battery, if you push the disconnect switch, we will still have power to the cab of the tractor and to the other controls for about 15 minutes while there's doing its shutdown procedure. At that point, it will disconnect the battery. Now that we're ready to start the tractor, go ahead and turn the key to the on position. We'll wait until the display on the dash comes up, verify that we're in neutral, and then at this point, we can go ahead and start the tractor. Crank the tractor and allow the engine to start and release the key. Again, I'm Clint Hurl with Kubota Tractor Corporation, an ag product specialist here in the Midwest division. Thank you for choosing Kubota, and thank you for choosing German-Bliss, and have a great day.